The Poem of the Man God. Preparation for the Passion. Chapter 558. The Secret Meeting with Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus. 23rd of January, 1947. The road taken by Manan to lead Jesus to the place where he is expected is really a difficult one. A mountain road, narrow, covered with stones, running through maquis and woods. A very bright moonlight, in the first phase of the moon, can hardly penetrate the tangle of branches, and at times it disappears completely. And Manan makes up for the lack of light with torches that he has prepared and brought with him, carrying them bold-requires like weapons under his mantle. He leads the way. Jesus follows him, and they proceed in silence in the dead of the night. 2 or 3 times a wild animal running in the wood simulates the noise of steps, which makes Manan stop suspiciously. But apart from that, nothing else disturbs their journey, which is toilsome by itself.
"Look, master, that is Kafena over there. Now let us go round here. I shall count 300 steps, and we shall be at the grottos, where they have been waiting for us since sunset. Did you find the journey a long one? And yet we have taken shortcuts that I think have complied with the legal distance."
Jesus makes a gesture meaning, "We could not do it any other way." Manan does not speak any more, intent as he is on accounting his steps. They are now in a barren, rocky corridor, like an ascending cavern, between the 2 mountain faces that almost touch each other. One would say that it is a fracture brought about by a cataclysm, so strange it looks. A huge knife wound in the mountain rock, splitting 1/3 of it from its summit. High above, beyond the sheer mountain faces, beyond the tossing branches of the trees that have grown on the edge of the huge cut, the stars are shining, but the moon gives no light down here in this abyss. The smoky light of the torch awakes birds of prey that creep, flapping their wings on the edges of their nests among the fishes. Manan says,
"Here we are,"
and he utters a cry similar to the wailing of a big owl towards a cleft in the rocky slope. Moving from the other end, a reddish light comes forth along another rocky corridor, the upper part of which is closed like a lobby. Joseph appears. "The master?" he asks, not seeing Jesus, who is a little behind. "I am here, Joseph. Peace to you."
"Peace to you. Come, come. We lit a fire to see snakes and scorpions and warm the place. I will show you the way."
He turns round, and along the undulations of the path in the bowels of the mountain, he leads them towards a place lit up by flames. Near a fire there is Nicodemus, who is throwing branches and junipers on it. "Peace to you too, Nicodemus. Here I am with you. Speak."
"Master, has anybody noticed your coming?"
"Who on earth could, Nicodemus?"
"Are your disciples not with you?"
"John and Judas of Simon are with me. The others are evangelizing from the day after the Sabbath to sunset on Fridays. But I left the house before midday, telling them not to wait for me before the dawn on the day after the Sabbath. I am too accustomed by now to being absent for several hours to rouse suspicion in anybody. So you need not worry. You have plenty of time to talk without worrying about being caught. The place here is propitious."
"Yes, nests of snakes and vultures, and of highwaymen in the good season, when these mountains are full of herds. But nowadays highwaymen prefer other places from which to descend suddenly on folds and caravan tracks. We are sorry that we dragged you so far." but we shall be able to depart from here, taking different roads, without attracting anybody's attention. Because, Master, the attention of the Sanhedrin is directed wherever they suspect that you are loved. Well, I disagree with Joseph with regard to that. I think that we now see ghosts where there are none. I also think that the situation has calmed very much these last days, says Nicodemus. You are wrong, my friend, I tell you. It has calmed down, because there is no spur to look for the Master, because now they know where he is. That is why he is being watched, and we are not. And that is why I begged him not to tell anybody that we were going to meet, so that no one might be ready for anything, says Joseph. I don't think that the people of Ephraim, remarks Manaen. Neither the people of Ephraim or anybody else from Samaria, for the only purpose of doing the opposite of what we do on the other side. No, Joseph, not for that, but because they do not have in their hearts the evil serpent that you have. They are not afraid of being despoiled of any prerogative. They have no sectarian or caste interests to defend. They have nothing but an instinctive need to feel that they are loved and forgiven by him whom their ancestors offended, and whom they continue to offend by remaining outside the perfect religion. Outside, because, as they are as proud as you are, neither part can lay aside the hatred dividing them, and stretch their hands in the name of the only Father. Even if they had so much goodwill, you would demolish it, because you cannot forgive. You cannot say, trampling on all foolishness, the past is dead, because the Prince of the future century has risen, and he gathers us all under his sign. I have, in fact, come, and I gather. But you, oh, for you, also what I considered worthy of being gathered is always anathema. You are severe with us, Master. I am just. Can you perhaps say that you do not reproach me in your hearts for some of my deeds? Can you say that you approve of my mercy, being the same for Judeans and Galileans, as for Samaritans and Gentiles? Nay, even greater for the latter, and for big sinners, just because they are in greater need of it. Can you say that you would not expect gestures of violent majesty from me, in order to manifest my supernatural origin? And above all, mind you, and above all, to manifest my mission of Messiah, according to your idea of the Messiah. Speak the real truth, apart from the joy of your hearts, for the resurrection of your friend. Would you not have preferred to such joy that I should have arrived in Bethany as a handsome, cruel warrior, as our ancestors were with the Amorites and the Bashanites, and as Joshua was with the people of Ai and of Jericho? Or better still, making stones and walls collapse on my enemies with my voice, as Joshua's trumpets did with the walls of Jericho? Or drawing huge stones on my enemies from heaven, as it happened on the descent of Beth Horon, still in the lays of Joshua? Or, as in more recent times, calling celestial knights galloping through the air in cloth of gold
troops of lancers, fully armed, squadrons of cavalry, in order of battle, attacks and charges this way and that. A flourish of shields and armies with helmets, brandishing swords and hurling missiles to terrorize my enemies. Yes, that is what you would have preferred. Because although you love me very much, your love is still impure, and it is kindled in wishing what is not holy, by your thoughts of Israelites, by your old thoughts. What is in Gamaliel as well as in the last man in Israel, what is in the high priest, the tetrarch, in the peasant, in the shepherd, in the nomad, in the man of the diaspora. The fixed idea of the Messiah conqueror, the nightmare of those who are afraid of being crushed by him, the hope of those who love the fatherland with the violence of human love, the eagerness of those who are oppressed under foreign powers in foreign countries. It is not your fault. The pure concept, as had been given by God with regard to what I am, has been covered throughout centuries with layers of useless scum. And only few know how to take the messianic idea back to its initial purity. And they do so through their own sufferings. And now, as the time is close when the sign, which Gamaliel is expecting, and the whole Israel with him, is to be given. And now that the time of my perfect manifestation is drawing closer, Satan is working to deteriorate your love and to adulterate your thoughts. His hour is coming, I tell you. And in that hour of darkness, also those who at present can see or are only a little blind will be completely blind. Only few, very few people will recognize the Messiah in the demolished man. Only few will recognize him as the true Messiah, exactly because he will be demolished as the prophets saw him. For the sake of my friends, I would like them to be able to see me and know me while it is still daytime, so that they may recognize me and see me also when I am disfigured and in the darkness of the hour of the world. But tell me now what you wanted to tell me. Time passes quickly, and it will soon be dawn. I am saying this for your sake, because I am not afraid of any dangerous encounter.
Well, we wanted to tell you that someone must have said where you are, and that someone is certainly not I, or Nicodemus, or Manaen, or Lazarus, or his sisters, or Nike. To whom else have you spoken of the place you chose for your shelter?
To nobody, Joseph.
Are you sure?
Most definitely.
And did you tell your disciples not to mention it?
Before departing, I did not speak to them of the place. When we arrived in Ephraim, I told them to go and evangelize and to act in my stead, and I am sure of their obedience.
And are you alone in Ephraim?
No, I am with John and Judas of Simon. I have already told you. He, Judas, as I could read his thoughts, cannot have done any harm to me through his heedlessness, because he never left the town. And in these days, No pilgrims from other places pass through it.
Then it is really Beelzebub that has spoken, because at the Sanhedrin they know that you are there.
So, what are their reactions to my behavior?
Several, master, and very different. Some say that it is logical, since they banned you from the holy places. You had no option but to take shelter in Samaria. Others instead maintain that this proves what you are, a Samaritan in your soul, even more than by race, and that is enough to condemn you. And they all exult at having been successful in reducing you to silence, and at being able to point you out to the crowds as a friend of the Samaritans. They are saying, we have already won the battle. The rest will be child's play. But we beg you, do not allow that to happen.
It will not happen. Let them speak. Those who love me will not be upset by appearances. Allow the wind to drop completely. It is a wind of the earth. Then the wind of heaven will blow. The velarium will open and the glory of God will appear. Have you anything else to tell me?
No, nothing concerning you. Be on the alert. Be careful. Do not leave the place where you are now, and we will keep you informed.
No, it is not necessary. Stay where you are. I shall soon have the women disciples with me. And yes, tell Eliza and Nike to join the other women disciples if they wish so. Tell the 2 sisters as well. As my place is now known, those who are not afraid of the Sanhedrin can now come for our reciprocal comfort.
The 2 sisters cannot come until Lazarus comes back. He left with much pomp, and everybody in Jerusalem knew that he was going to his remote estates. But it is not known when he will come back. But his servant has already come back from Nazareth, and he said, and we must tell you also this, he said that your mother will be here with the other women disciples before the end of this moon. She is well, and so is Mary of Alphaeus. The servant saw them, but they are delaying a little because Johanna wants to come with them. But she cannot until the end of this moon. And then, well, if you will allow us, we would like to help you as faithful friends, even if imperfect, as you say.
No, the disciples who go round evangelizing every Friday evening brings what is necessary for them and for us who remain in Ephraim. Nothing else is required. A workman lives on his wages. That is fair. The rest would be superfluous. Give it to some poor wretch. That is what I told also those in Ephraim and my apostles. My instructions are that when they come back, they must not have 1 farthing left over, and that on their way they must give away all the offerings, keeping for us only what is necessary for our very frugal food for 1 week.
Why, master?
To teach them detachment from riches and the superiority of the spirit over the worries of the morrow. And for that, and for other good reasons of mine as a master, I ask you not to insist.
As you wish, but we are sorry that we cannot help you.
The days will come when you will do that. Is that not the first light of dawn? He says, looking eastwards. That is, to the side opposite to the one he came, and pointing at a timid gleam that becomes visible on remote backgrounds.
It is. We must part. I am going back to Gofena where I left my horse, and Nicodemus will go down on this other side towards Beerith, and from there to Rama when the Sabbath is over.
And what about you, Manan?
Oh, without hiding myself, I will go along the main roads towards Jericho, where Herod is now. My horse is in the house of some poor people, who for a mite do not loathe anything, not even a Samaritan, as they believe me to be. But I am staying with you just now. In my bag I have food for 2.
Well, let us say goodbye. We shall meet again at Passover.
No, you are not going to put yourself to that test, says Joseph and Nicodemus. Don't do that, master.
You really are bad friends, because you are advising me to commit sin and to be cowardly. Would you then be able to love me, considering what I had done? Tell me. Be sincere. Where should I go and worship the Lord at the Passover of the unleavened bread? Perhaps on Mount Gerizim? Or should I not appear before the Lord in the temple of Jerusalem, as every male must do at the 3 great yearly festivities? Do you not remember that they are already accusing me of not respecting the Sabbath? Although, and Manan can witness this, even today, to satisfy your request, I departed in the evening from a place that conciliated your desire with the Sabbatic law.
We also stopped at Gofena for that reason. We will offer a sacrifice to expiate an involuntary transgression brought about by a motive that could not be derogated from. But you, master, they will see you at once.
Even if they should not see me, I will try to make them see me.
You want to ruin yourself. It is the same as if you committed suicide.
No. Your minds are enveloped in darkness. It is not the same as if I wanted to kill myself. It is only obedience to the voice of my Father, who says to me, "Go, it is your hour." I have always endeavored to reconcile the law with necessities, also on the day that I had to flee from Bethany and take refuge at Ephraim, because it was not my hour to be caught. The Lamb of salvation can only be sacrificed at the Passover of the unleavened bread. And if I behaved thus for the law, do you want me to do otherwise with regard to the order of my Father? Go, you may go. Do not grieve thus. And why did I come, if it was not that I should be proclaimed the King of all peoples? Because that is the meaning of Messiah, is it not? Yes, that is what it means. And Redeemer also means that. The only trouble is that the meaning of these 2 words does not correspond to what you fancy. But I bless you, imploring a celestial ray to descend upon you with my blessing, because I love you and you love me, because I would like your justice to be entirely bright, because you are not wicked, but you too our old Israel. And you do not have the heroic will to despoil yourselves of the past and become new. Goodbye, Joseph. Be just. Just like him who was my guardian for so many years, and who was capable of every renovation to serve the Lord his God. If he were here among us, oh, how he would teach you to serve the Lord perfectly, to be just, just, just. But it is right that he should already be in Abraham's bosom, in order not to see the injustice of Israel. Holy servant of God, a new Abraham, with a broken heart, but with perfect will. He would not have advised me to be cowardly, but he would have spoken the words that he used to utter when anything painful weighed heavily on us. Let us raise our spirits. We shall meet the yes of God, and we shall forget that it is men who grieve us. And let us do whatever is burdensome, as if the Most High presented it to us. In this way we shall sanctify also the least things, and God will love us. Oh, he would have said so also to comfort me, to suffer the deepest sorrows. He would have comforted us. Oh, my mother. Jesus releases Joseph, whom he had clasped in his arms, and he lowers his head, remaining silent, undoubtedly contemplating his imminent martyrdom and that of his poor mother. He then raises his head and embraces Nicodemus, saying, "The first time you came to me as a secret disciple, I told you that to enter the kingdom of God and to have the kingdom of God in you, it is necessary for your spirits to be born again, and for you to love the light more than the world loves it. Today, and this is perhaps the last time we shall meet secretly, I repeat the same words to you. Be born again in your spirit, Nicodemus, to be able to love the light which I am, and I may dwell in you as King and Saviour. Go now, and God be with you." The two members of the Sanhedrin go away in the opposite direction to the one in which Jesus came. When the noise of their steps has faded away, Manaen, who had gone to the entrance of the grotto to see them go away, comes back, and with an expressive countenance he says,
"And for once, they will be the ones who infringe the Sabbatic law, and they will have no peace until they settle their debt with the Eternal Father by sacrificing an animal. Would it not be better for them to sacrifice their tranquility by declaring themselves your disciples openly? Would that not be more pleasing to the Most High?"
"It would certainly be, but do not judge them. They are does that rise slowly. But at the right moment, when many who think that they are better than they are collapse, they will rise against the whole world."
"Are you referring to me, Lord? Please, take my life, but do not let me deny you."
"You will not deny me, but there are constituents in you different from theirs, and they will help you to be faithful."
"Yes, I am the Herodian. That is, I was the Herodian, because as I turned my back on the council, so I turned my back on the party, when I saw it was vile and unfair towards you, just like the others. To be a Herodian, to the other castes. It means being a little less than a heathen. I do not mean that we are saints, that is true. For an impure purpose we committed impurity. I am speaking as if I were still the Herodian I was before being your disciple. According to human opinion, therefore, we are twice impure. Because we are the allies of the Romans and because we did it for our own profit. But tell me, Master, as you always speak the truth and never refrain from it for fear of losing a friend, between us who have entered into an alliance with Rome to have fleeting personal triumphs, and the Pharisees, the chief priests, the scribes, the Sadducees, who enter into an alliance with Satan to crush you, which are the more impure? I see, now that I have realized that the party of the Herodians is siding with your enemies, I left it. I am not telling you to be praised by you, but to tell you what I think. And they, I mean the Pharisees and priests, the scribes and Sadducees, are convinced of getting a profit out of this sudden alliance of the Herodians with them. The wretches! They do not know that the Herodians do it to gain more merits, and thus greater protection from the Romans. And later, once the cause and the reason joining them are defined and finished, they will demolish those with whom they now form an alliance. And they trifle with each other like that. Everything is based on deceit, and that disgusts me so much that I have made myself completely independent. You are a great, frightening ghost for everybody. And you were also a pretense for the foul game of the various parties' interests. The religious motive, the sacred indignation for the blasphemer, as they call you, it is nothing but lies. The only motive is neither the defense of religion nor the sacred zeal for the Most High, but their greedy, insatiable interests. They make me sick like filthy things. And I would like, yes, I would like the few who are not corrupt to be more daring. Ah, a double life is troublesome to me now. I would like to follow you alone, but I can serve you better thus than if I followed you. It's a burden to me, but you say that it will soon be. What? But will you really be sacrificed as the lamb? But is it not figurative language? The life of Israel is woven with symbols and figures.
And you would like it to be so for me. But mine is not a figure.
Is it not? Are you really sure? Many of us could repeat ancient gestures and have you, anointed Messiah, and defend you. One word would suffice, and the defenders of the holy wise pontiff would rise in thousands and thousands. I do not mean an earthly king, as I now know that your kingdom is entirely spiritual. But as we shall never again be humanly free and strong, let at least your holiness support and heal corrupt Israel. No one, as you are aware, loves the present priesthood and those supporting it. Do you want that, Lord? Tell me, and I will do it.
You have already gone a long way with your thought, Manan. But you are still as far from your goal as the earth is from the sun. I will be priest, and forever. Immortal pontiff in an organism that I will enliven to the end of time. But I shall not be anointed with the oil of delight. Neither shall I be proclaimed and defended by the gestures of violence brought about by a handful of believers to throw our fatherland into a wild chasm and make it more enslaved than it ever was. And do you think that the hand of a man can anoint the Christ? I solemnly tell you that it cannot. The true authority that will anoint me, Pontiff and Messiah, is that of him who sent me. No other person who is not God could anoint God as King of Kings and Lord of Lords forever. So, nothing. There is nothing we can do. How grieved I am. Everything by loving me. It is everything. By loving not the person whose name is Jesus, but what Jesus is. By loving me with your humanity and your spirit, as I love you with spirit and humanity, in order to be with me beyond humanity. Look how beautiful is dawn. The quiet light of the stars did not shine in here, but the triumphant light of the sun does. The same will happen in the hearts of those who succeed in loving me with justice. Come outside, in the silence of the mountain, clear of the hoarse human voices of interests. Look over there at those eagles, how with wide flights they soar away in search of prey. Can we see that prey? No, we cannot, but they can, because the eyes of an eagle are more powerful than ours, and from above where they rove, they can see a wide horizon and can choose. I do the same. I see what you cannot see, and from above where it hovers, my spirit can choose my sweet praise, not to tear them to pieces as vultures and eagles do, but to take them with me. We shall be so happy there, in the kingdom of my Father, we who loved each other. And Jesus, who, while speaking, has gone outside to sit in the sun at the entrance of the grotto, embraces Manaen, who was beside him, and he smiles silently, and I do not know which vision.